Hello to this week's episode of Barbequeer. I'm Alexander Jamall. No AKA this week because I'm just like, I think at this point everyone knows who I am and I think they know that I'm like the greatest. And, I just don't gotta prove myself anymore because, like Nikki said, I'm the baddest bitch. And
she's like, I'm not gonna put anything, I'm not gonna do anything. But then she just like keeps ranting.
But because like Nikki said, I'm the baddest barbs and like all my barbs stand for me. Like, okay.
Okay, so I am Jay Northcott, also known as Nervous Shipwreck on Instagram if you want to follow me because Barbequeer is not even following me yet, but it would be lovely if
Really?
Shade.
Really?
Yeah, so everybody follow me, Nervous Shipwreck.
I'm really bad at that, sorry. But
I'm pretty sure Barbequeer isn't even following me.
I know, it's kind of fucked up.
I did follow your Decent People one.
Oh, okay.
I did because it was right there, front center screen shit, yeah.
Okay, well, that being said, I am J-Ho, aka at Decent PPL. Follow me on the platforms.
AKA at Decent People.
Yeah.
When you say people in 2020, I think they just assume it's PPL.
No, you can't. Decent people. Decent
Like,
PPL.
Okay, so welcome back, J-Ho. This is ridiculous. So this week we have a really fun and sexy ASMR. Oh, it's ASMR one? Oh my god. So this week we are talking about kinks and fetishes.
Kinks and fetishes!
Kink, fetish.
Oh.
Does somebody want to start us off with the icebreaker?
So, what I'm wondering is, what impression do you think you give when you first meet someone?
Who wants to go first?
Not I.
Okay, I will. What's the first impression? So there's two. Either somebody thinks I'm when I'm working especially, everybody thinks I'm like the nicest person. And I'm pretty good at my job right at the beginning because I'm like, let's get to work, let's get down, let's figure out what we need to do. And everybody's like, oh my god, you're so capable. And I'm like, thank you. Or people see me walk in and they look at my face and they go, you're a complete cunt. So it's either or, but both of them get worked out. So I love that about you.
Perfect. For me, people always confuse me for being like this hard bitch. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm actually like pretty fun and like outgoing and like whatever. But I think it has something to do just with like me growing up because I think meeting new people I was super shy. So I kind of just like, I don't come out of my shell right away. So when I meet new people, it just takes me a little bit. You gotta warm me up a little bit.
Warm me up, Daddy.
See, I think I get the same thing. I think people think that I'm very arrogant. I'm very extremely confident. Seasoned, if you will. But I'm actually the complete opposite. I'm very shy. I'm very analytical. I'm very observant. So 9 times out of 10, I'm just being quiet and I'm analyzing my surroundings and getting to know the people that are around me. And because of that, I'm really quiet. And because I have like a resting bitch face and because I'm like just like so handsome with like light skin features and like, like biracial features. It's just like, it just makes me look like I'm always in like a light skin pose with my face puckered and shit. And then people just
You do that face a lot.
I do, but it's natural.
Mm-hmm.
I do it when I sleep. I get into like the fetal position and then my lips are just puckering.
I love it. Okay, so that was our little icebreaker. Today we have a very fun and cool conversation, and we're going to be talking about fetishes and kinks. Let me open up my little WhatsApp app where I put all of this beautiful information that nobody read because nobody cares about me.
Hey, we care.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things. So first off, we are not experts in kinks and fetishes. We are talking about the information that we know and that we've heard from others and our own understanding and what we've experienced, and not saying that we understand the full entire kink and fetish community. A little bit about the things that we're going to talk about is that we really want to challenge the idea and continue to perpetuate that kink is about consent, communication, and compromise, and that it's always about being enthusiastic and continuing consent with all parties involved, okay? It's not just like doing whatever you want. There has to be some consent involved. We also wanted to say that sex doesn't always have to be part of a kink, but we're going to be talking about it in that way, in the way that kink is a community, and that is a safe, sane, and consensual place for all players to just experience who they are and what they want to experience. And that's what we're kind of going to be playing within the realm of while we have this conversation.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cute.
Should I read this quote?
Read the quote.
Oh my god, okay. So, a fetish is heavily tied to having a psychological need for those specific objects or acts in order to experience pleasure and or orgasm, whereas kinks can add to a sexual experience but aren't necessarily needed to achieve sexual release. So, a fetish is a type of kink.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I was learning about is that fetish is very individual and a kink is part of a community. So it's a kink community. So like if you go to Folsom what's the gayest city? San Francisco. That one. If you're going to any of these sex fairs or sex festivals, it's like that's kind of the stuff that they're creating. There's certain places that have community within them. What is the next? What's that thing that we were saying? Oh, do any of you have a quick fetish that we want to talk about? What's a quick fetish? What's your chillest fetish you have right now? And then we'll get a bit deeper.
I mean, okay, so in terms of fetishes or kinks, I am so fucking vanilla. I don't have any per se, but the thing is with me, and we'll get into a little story later once we dive deep, is I'm totally open to whatever, at least once, because realistically, how do I know if I'm into it or not, right? You gotta try it.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Do I have a kink? I think so. I have a bit of a voyeur complex. I really like watching people have sex. Not complex. It's not complex at all. It's actually very just straightforward. I just really like watching people have sex. I also there's another word for the one, but I can't. Cockholding, which is another one with your partner having sex with other people and you having the knowledge of it.
Sorry, say that word again?
Cuckolding.
Okay, that's what it's called?
It's like an old school term for it.
Like where you hold cocks.
No, it has nothing to do with me holding the cocks at all. It has to do with me having the knowledge of my boyfriend having sex with somebody else. Or my partner having sex with somebody else.
Okay.
Okay. Come on, open relationship.
Come on, open relationship.
Episode, 2?
Yeah, something like that, some shit. Right now, we're in a full-on, group sex episode. That's how far we've come now.
Amazing.
There's cum all over the walls. We've come so far.
Jamall.
So, just so I'm on the same page. So, a kink is sexual and a fetish is not necessarily sexual?
Other way around.
So, fetish is sexual and a kink is not necessarily sexual.
Right. Because it's part of a community. It's like you can be part of a leather community, so you like to talk about leather, you like to make leather, you like to do all that kind of stuff. It turns you on for sure, but it's not just that. It's also part of a community of understanding and building. It's the same thing with BDSM communities. It's like you're in that community and you guys you're not just having sex, you're having conversations about BDSM, you're having conversation about how you play together, you're doing all that stuff. So it has more of a community outlook of it, a very large scale of it, but then also getting whipped is a fetish. So that's still part of the BDSM community. So it's just more specific. It's just more specific, right? And you can have everybody has fetishes of things that they try once, but you don't really try to be in it. You don't really try kinks. You can try them, but usually then you're part of a kink community.
So kink is your kink is almost for lack of a better word, your tribe.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have any kinks. I definitely have fetishes.
Yeah. Let's go into those.
Some fetishes that I have some very vanilla ones, sexual underwears. So and it ranges from jock straps, to thongs, to it can mesh panties, fucking pantyhose, all that kind of jazz. To outdoor sex really turns me on.
Okay, let's not get too far. We don't want them to come too quickly. That's true.
That's unfortunate.
Okay, I guess let's get into some of the questions that we have about fetishes and how and what we think. And maybe we're right or maybe we're wrong. But how do you think let's say you have a huge kink or a fetish, and you're I need to do it every single time, and you're with a partner that's I need to do it every single time. How do you kind of work with that conversation? Or is it something that you think that there's a lot of people out there that need to get bonded every single time that they have sex?
See, I think that has to do with who you are as an individual. So, like, if you're the kind of person where you need to explore these fetishes and kinks in order to nut, then that's a conversation that you should be having with those partners that you are engaging in sex with, or conversations with, or dating with. Now, if you are perfectly fine not engaging in these activities to nut, then maybe you can have the conversation later on. But like, if you need to see someone in pantyhose in order to actually get off, then in my mind, these are conversations that you should have with someone at the beginning. Like, I like to have those, like, people always say, what are you into? I feel like asking someone like their turn-ons and turn-offs, or like kinks, stuff like that, is a very good conversation to have, like, at the beginning of getting to know someone. At that point, they can decide whether or not it is for them or not for them.
Right.
I agree. I think that conversation is kind of definitely circumstantial, because let's say you are just looking for sex, right? I think you can disclose your preferences for, any type of fetishes or kinks, and it'll be kind of welcomed. But if you're in a circumstance where you're looking to be in a relationship, I think in order to not maybe scare them off, because you don't know if they're into that or not, or if they're open to explore that with you, I think you need to kind of wait in order to have that little bit of a foundation there.
Je ne sais quoi. Okay, I have a quick story for you. So, my best friend Chanel, I'm going to use her name because she'll love that I used her real name. So she was dating this guy who I will not use his real name, who worked up in the rigs. I'm from Alberta, so like the rigs are way up. Yeah, he was a rig pig, way up north. Super conservative dude, really really nice, kind of a dick, but very white. She's like mixed, and he seems like the most like blasé, boring missionary sex kind of person. He's like big dick energy. He's like, I don't have to do anything. I'll get the girl off. One day he comes home after they've been dating for about 2 months with a box. And she's like, oh my God, what's in the box? It's going to be like Tiffany. It's going to be something. It's going to be keys to a new car, something expensive.
They make a lot of money.
Anybody have any guesses?
Sex toys.
Strap on.
Ooh.
And he's like, yo, so I'm really into girls fucking me. Are you cool with that? And she's like, she's bisexual, so she's like, I'll try anything once.
Wait, sorry, how long were they dating?
They were dating for like 2 months, and they weren't even fully dating.
Okay.
So she does it. She's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna fucking try it. Why the fuck not? She loved it. Loves it more than anything. She was like, this is amazing. So she bought her own. After they broke up, she bought her own. And now on every date that she goes on, the second date she goes, I just have to let you know that like at one point or another, I'm going to have to fuck you. Because I'm not going to be able to date you if I can't fuck you.
See, so that's the thing is what I'm saying is like she waited, or I guess he waited, like 2 months into it to really kind of not scare her off and be like, hey, like I want to get fucked. And she was so down that now she is now the opposite side of the spectrum, and she was like the first date, she was like, okay, well this is happening.
But then what if she wasn't down? That's the problem.
Well, right. So if she's not down, then I think that's the conversation that needs to happen, and then clearly, then either y'all ain't having sex or
right. And I think there has to be like the thing is like any of this kind of stuff that we're talking about when it talks about like sex and relationship, there's always this amount of vulnerability, right? So like if you're not vulnerable and telling this person like this is what I really like when we're sleeping together, then like neither of you are getting what you need out of it. And like, sure, maybe they don't match sexually. So how do you change that relationship to make it prosperous for both of you? I don't know. I've never been good at it. I don't fucking know how. Okay, I'm gonna go into a little game. Are you guys ready?
What's your game?
It's called the Kink Game. I just made that name up. It's a bad name. It's workshopping the game. So it is. I have all of these kinks that I've listed on my phone. I want you to say either yes, I do it, maybe try it once, or never.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
How's that sound?
Mm-hmm. Cute.
Okay, or I have tried it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one. Like it has to be. I have tried it. Okay, ready? So masochism. So masochism and sadism is like dominant, submissive person. Usually, it has to do with some sort of hitting and physical pain play. That's I think that's what it's called.
Okay, well, I've done it.
Good.
No, I haven't done it. No, I wouldn't do it.
Yes, group sex.
Yes, I have done it.
I've done it.
I've done it. Just this week, actually. So I'm really proud of myself. I finally have my first three-way, everybody. The plan didn't work, but a new plan happened. Sports gear.
Like wrestling outfits and shit?
Yeah.
No, I haven't done it. Would I do it? I don't know. I'm indifferent.
I haven't done it. I'd give it a go. I don't know. That kind of reminds me of, what am I trying to say? Like role playing, like that sort of thing. Like, and I'm always just, I can't stay in character, especially in a sex.
Did you go to acting school?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I get us mixed up sometimes.
Of course.
It's very similar. I would say that because I had such a thing for hockey boys going to school, because all of the boys I went to school with were hockey boys, I think I would probably like him. Armpits.
Nah, all the way around. Like, yeah, no.
I've been forced to lick an armpit here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've licked armpits for like shits and giggles. Yeah, like I licked your armpit, but no.
What? Okay.
If it's like shaved, I'll like kiss it.
What?
If it's pretty and shaved, yeah.
No, that's not the point of an armpit.
Says who?
I don't know, God. I would say no to armpits because the one time that I tried it and I was like, yeah, I'll lick your armpit. There was, when there's so much deodorant and then all of a sudden my mouth was so dry. And
Was
then
it chalky?
Oh my God, it was awful.
Ooh.
Okay, balloons.
Sorry?
Balloons?
To do what with the balloon?
I don't know. Use your imagination.
My imagination doesn't stem that far.
I'm thinking of like the clown balloons that are really long. I'm thinking of those. And for me, I'm gonna say no, only because I hate when balloons pop, and to feel a balloon pop, especially if it's going inside anything.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
Yeah, I think that's something to do with popping balloons. I don't know. No. Okay, yeah, I would say no. Used underwear.
This is one that I've seen actually quite a bit on Twitter. So,
Mhm.
like the OnlyFans gays, shout out to you guys. What they're starting to do now, because everybody has an OnlyFans now, and they're losing money. I think they're starting to kind of branch out, and they're obviously starting to like come and soil their underwear and then sell them. So yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but like if anybody wants to buy my underwear, like
You do it for money.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
No, I wouldn't sell my underwear, and no, I wouldn't buy someone else's underwear.
Okay, voyeurism. So you guys already know that I'm into voyeurism. I already said it.
Love it. I'd watch. I like to be watched. Sure.
I don't know. I think in one of the other podcasts, I've said this before, where like I don't love being watched, but I mean,
But you want an OnlyFans.
okay, but that's different. Like, okay, I'm not. That's through a screen,
Right.
right? Like, I don't want somebody watching me in the same room, or maybe.
Not so much they'll pay you. Edging, edge play, edging. How do you feel about that?
See, I've always been on the fence about edging because for me it's just like, oh my God, like I want to come. Like why? Why? Do you know, like I don't know. I've never understood
Does
it.
it make a difference to you guys? Like, I've tried it.
Yeah.
I don't notice that it does anything different to my orgasm or my like ejaculation. I feel it's the same amount. I feel it's the same thing. I just, by the end of it, I'm almost like, I'm just like, okay, well, I just want to finish.
Same, but like I definitely do feel the difference. But yeah,
There is, so that just probably means you haven't done it long enough.
Well, how long is long enough?
Like a lot, like to the point that it doesn't hurt. That's the wrong word. It doesn't hurt, but it's like the whole point is like you're begging for somebody to get you off.
What are we talking, hours?
Maybe not hours, maybe like 35 minutes. I also get tired quite quickly.
Yeah, so I don't have that kind of time. Like we're working girls.
We're working girls. I know. So edge play is not for the working girls always. Okay, we're gonna do let's do three more. So fisting.
nope.
Oh my god, okay, so my story comes into play here.
Ooh.
So this is what I mean about like, I'm all for trying things at once because you never know. People are like, well, are you into this? Are you into XYZ? And like, you can't say yes or no unless you've tried it, right? So, my fisting story. Are y'all ready?
I'm so ready.
Oh my god.
Born ready.
So, this actually wasn't super long ago. I want to say this was maybe like 2 years ago or something. I don't know. Time is but a construct. I was hooking up with this guy, and it was just very standard, right? Keep in mind, I'm very vanilla. And then all of a sudden, he stops, and then he looks at my hands. And now we all know, I'm a very petite person. I'm very small. And my hands are very small. So he's like, oh, you have small hands. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And something inside of me just knew right away. I'm like, wait a second. And I kind of got back into my body, and I was like, oh, small hands, we're in a sexual atmosphere. Okay. And then he was like, oh, have you ever? And I was like, nope, never. He's like, would you be willing? And I was like, well, I'm already here, so why not? So, long story short, my entire right fist went inside this man's orifice. And he was a big guy. Not big, but he was bigger. And he took it very well.
Good for him.
I wasn't super into it. I literally had my whole fist maybe just below my elbow into this.
My God.
Yes, into this gentleman. But the thing is, his hole wasn't super loose, and he told me he had only done it once before, and he took my small fist like a champ. And it was weird because I wasn't really into it, but the fact that he was so into it kind of made me excited.
Yeah.
I wasn't hard, I wasn't jacking off while I was doing it, I was just there and I was just watching him, but he was in heaven, and I was like, okay, well, that's kind of hot.
What did it feel like?
Honestly, it just went in, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I was also fascinated by it just because I'm like, how is my arm so deep into this man's
in a person?
But could you feel the ripples in his walls, all that kind of stuff?
I could feel some walls to the point where I actually, okay, this is TMI, but hey, this is Barbie Queer, where we throw it all out there. I almost expanded my fist in his ass. So my whole hand was just
It's crazy what the human body.
The human body. I was amazed. I was like, this is magical.
I read this book called "My Body Is Yours" or "My Body Is Mine." We'll tag it somewhere or something. But it was interesting. There was a whole chapter about the intimacy of fisting and the intimacy that this guy and his partner had with fisting, and how it took 45 minutes for them to get into it and blah blah blah. And because when I was younger, I was like, ew, fisting, that's fucking disgusting. But it's a very intimate moment to put your whole hand inside, and the amount of trust you have to put into another person to allow them to put their whole arm inside of you.
That is true. I could have tore this man's ass.
You could have grabbed and pulled.
Yeah, he would have been finished.
Dead.
But
finish him.
Trusted me.
Never would I ever
trust Jay.
But hey, you know what?
Just kidding.
No, but he has small hands, so maybe.
Yeah, if you ever need to try, just...
Maybe if you can clip your nails or something.
Hey, my nails are always perfectly manicured.
Oh, so then hey, I'll meet you
on this
outside.
podcast. Me and Jamall will be sitting on either hands of Jay.
Right.
I mean, I have two of them.
Cash me outside, bitch.
Anyways, so, Jay, would you fist? Be fisted? Do the fisting? Donkey punch?
Okay, I don't. It's not something that I'm very interested in exploring. I've never been interested in expanding my own hole to a point of no return. Not no return. It goes back. Everybody, it goes back from whatever. But it's just never been something that I've been do you know what I really want to do? Is put something very large inside of me. Mm-hmm. It's just never been my thing, and I love that it is other people's things. It's just really not my thing. I don't know.
That's fair.
And I think if somebody asked me to do it, I think my science brain and I'd be well, let's see what happens. I think it's something I would try once.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if somebody was I will be gentle for an hour and make sure that it will be nice and slow, I would be okay, do you know what? Fuck it, let's maybe try it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think I ever want to be fisted though, unless somebody comes. Never mind. Like,
What? Drops the dragon?
yeah, drops the dragon. Give me $100. No. Could you imagine getting fisted for only $100? What kind of fucking whore am I trying to make myself out to be today?
It depends on what you need to buy, I guess.
I guess.
What if you were short $100 on rent?
Okay, so are there any sexual fetishes that you are thinking about exploring in your sexual life? You have a partner. Is there any sexual thing that you guys are like thinking about? Ooh, like what if we explored this?
There's not, but like I said, okay.
This is what happens when you date a white guy.
Well,
Just kidding.
yeah. I mean, vanilla, right? No. So if there ever was a moment where, you know, we wanted to explore any sort of kink or fetish, like I said before, like I'm super open. I may not, like I may not be 100% for it right off the bat. But like I said, I will try anything once because I don't know if I'm into it or not. And then once I do it once, I will automatically know. If I'm into it, I'm into it. Sure, we'll keep doing it. If I'm not, then we know we can cross it off the list. And then I'm not into it.
I think for me, the only thing I'd be open to right now that even crosses my mind would maybe be like leather. Nothing else comes to mind.
Yeah, I think I might have a thing for latex.
Ooh.
I don't know if I do. Latex is very expensive. So my wallet's not super into it, but like I think maybe I might be into latex.
So when you say latex, like, did you guys watch American Horror Story?
Yes.
So you guys remember like the latest one where like that guy just starts sneaking into their rooms and fucking them in a full latex bodysuit?
Yeah,
Yes.
that happens in the first season too.
Yeah, that's the only thing that comes to my mind. I'm like, oh my god, that's scary.
I
But
think,
is it scary or is it hot?
or is it hot?
Or is it both?
It's scary. I'd rather a man sneak into my room in street clothes and have sex with me, not in latex.
Or panties?
Or panties. I love it. I love when we do the full turn into something. So there's two different types of like in the kink community and fetish community. There's two types of kind of sexual consent. There's like safe, sane, and consensual, which means like you're like, okay, so we know that we have this safe word, we have this, you can get out of this at any time. We don't have to do, if we're doing role play, like you can be like, stop, and it'll stop. And then there's the other one, which goes by rake. So it's, where did I put it? Rake my ass.
Sounds like you need
It's
some manscaping.
rack, I think.
Rack, is it?
It's a risk-aware consensual kink.
Thank you. So this means that like at the beginning you have a conversation, you say, this is what's gonna happen. If you say stop, I'm still gonna keep going. And a lot of this has to do with like breath play and those kind of things. So anything that has to do with like breath play. And I think it's I guess like the difference is like for me there's like, you know, there's like almost like this idea of like that one kind of sounds like 50 Shades of Grayish, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like 50 Shades of Grey is kind of given a bad rap to the kink community and to the fetish community in this way of like Mr. Grey, what's his name?
Yeah.
Mr. Grey?
Mm-hmm.
Senor Grey?
What was his first name? Andrew? Alex?
Dorian Gray. No.
Yeah.
No, that's like Dorian Gray is something very different.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
Anyway.
Christian
Grey.
Ooh, got
Okay,
it.
someone's a fan.
And,
I did. I watched it like 2 years late, but I loved it.
Did you? I just hated that they used. If you read the book, remember it says brown starfish, and they're just like they're talking about a butthole, and that's not the best way to describe a butthole at all. Anyway, the whole thing that people had a conversation with that they thought was really bad about the movie and the book is that we kind of like put it in this term of saying that he was giving her a non-consensual way of having a fetish. So she like finds out that she's part of this community, part of this fetish, and then it's kind of like put on her in a way that seems like a bit rapey. So,
But she was into it in the movie.
what was she the entire time? Like, did she actually have like that full consent to be able to say that she was?
Well, I think she was very she was cautious, I think, from what I remember. Like, obviously I wasn't paying too much attention
Right.
how long ago was this movie.
And
But,
especially to the storyline, you're like, the storyline of 50 Shades of Grey.
yeah, but I mean, obviously if she continued to, I guess, come back, is what I'm trying to say, is like, she, at some point, she wanted it.
Right.
Well, how it went was, because I'm such a fan. So it didn't start off that way. It started off with her having the full ability to say no and to say stop. And then that's not what he wanted. So at one point he gave her this option of having a contractual agreement. And what she did have was they did have a safe word, right? But she wasn't allowed to just be like, no, or that's it. It was literally like, this is the end all be all safe word. And in that moment, he's done. Like, it's not like we're just going to stop this action.
Oh, that was the issue. Yes.
Yeah. So he was like, if the moment you say like fucking blueberries, the sex is done. It's not like I'm going to stop biting your clit. It's we're done. Right.
We're never having sex ever again.
Yeah. And that was it. So she had to make a decision whether or not she was open to the extremes of this guy. And in reality, she tried to play like she wasn't, but she was. She wanted it.
I know, but that, like, yeah. But then, I'm just saying, like, if you fall in love with a person and they say that that's like that's the end all be all, like, it's kind of like there's a bit of that, like, of controlling in a way that like is a bit negative, like manipulative.
But wasn't that the whole thing?
But isn't there a difference between like manipulation and like consensual dominance?
But there was no manipulation because he laid it all out on the table. So like, let's say for example, the difference between her and I is that the moment a man tells me like this is the what I want, and if you tell me no based off of this little fucking thing, I'm out. Me personally, I'd be like, well then fuck you, deuces.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he gave her that option, so there was no manipulation. I feel like it would have been manipulation if he didn't tell her that. Do you know what I mean? Or if like once she said no, she was like, you know what, deuces, I'm out. But he was like, this is what it is. You have the option, baby. Like, and he even gave her a moment to think. Right? He was like, you don't have to think. You don't have to do this now. Right? He goes, this is a contract. He did. He sent her home.
Wait a second though. As you're talking, we're getting so off track, but since we're talking about this, the thing is, she also, like, if you're a basic ass bitch like she was in the movie, are you gonna say no to this, like, billionaire just because he is into some kinky shit?
Did Anne Hathaway say no to fucking what's her face? She did in the end.
To
Anna Wintour.
the Prada.
I need to
She
rewatch
did.
it.
You know what she really did?
She did, and she pumped out of that bitch. And what was her name? What was her name? Fucking
Meryl Streep?
Yeah, what was her name?
Meryl Streep.
Oh my god. And Meryl Streep at the end, she walked out of that building, she lowered her sunglasses and was like, that's a powerful bitch. Got into her limo and sailed.
I love that. Maybe, I wonder if Meryl Streep has a kink. What do you think Meryl Streep's
I feel like her kink would be like fucking sugar cookies on her tits or some shit. Something stupid.
No.
No, I think that she like is a dominant bitch in bed.
Really? I was gonna say, I think she would love to get like cock slapped or like her hair pulled or something.
Oh,
I don't know, something fun.
she's at that age where she deserves that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we always shame like older women for being like sexually liberated. I'm like, go fucking fuck.
Really? Okay.
Girl.
Wait, side note. So because he said older women, let me just get this off my chest, and I'm gonna do it on this fucking podcast because this bitch doesn't listen to this podcast. I hope. So I'm convinced that my dog walker wants to fuck. Okay, she's like a 60-year-old woman. She has a crippled arm, like to the point where she needs surgery, but because of COVID, it's like delayed.
Right.
But last night I picked up my dog. Mind you, she's almost not gonna be my dog walker anymore because she's crooked and crazy and corrupt and
hot.
Anyway, so yesterday I was at work, 2 hours late. I text her way in advance because I'm not tardy. So I let her know like, hey, I'm gonna be a little bit late. She was all for it, like, yeah, we're just dancing with music, like no issues at all. In my mind, I'm like, you're almost 60. I'm sure you want to go to bed. Like, is there any kind of frustration here? Not at all. I get to her house, low key. I walk in, the room is dim, music is blasting. I don't remember if there was candles, but there was definitely a little bit of like lights flickering somewhere. But yeah, it's like close to 10 o'clock, and she is dolled up. Like, I mean, she has on her Sunday dress, she has on her lipstick, she has all this shit on. And I'm like, it's 10 p.m., right? I don't see you look like that at 3 p.m., 7 p.m. And then she has the audacity. Mind you, I had to wake up for 5 o'clock this morning. So for me, it's like, give me my dog so I can go, lady. Right? She goes, have a seat. Have a seat. Like, no. She goes, can I get you a drink, a beer, something? I'm like, no. Like, I gotta make dinner. So I'm like, onto this old lady stuff. Like, I don't know where I was going with this, but I'm just like,
You think she has a kink for black men? A fetish.
Maybe.
Sorry, a fetish for black men.
A fetish for black. I think for a young black man, and then I'm just like, a part of me wonders like if she's just like a fucking predator and does this to all her young black fucking dog clients.
Are we okay with talking about this? We don't have to. But I'm curious. Like, what do we think about fetishes when it comes to like people who have like I always felt like my ex-boyfriend had a
black fetish.
Yeah, or even like for like a Latino fetish or any of these kind of things. I don't know. Like I always am curious about like what people think about it because I don't know. My ex-boyfriend. I'm not saying that his boyfriend before was black and that his boyfriend after was black and I'm black. But I am saying that like there is like this weird correlation. But I'm like, maybe it's not a fetish, maybe it's just a preference.
So here for me is where it becomes wrong.
Yeah.
Because I think it happens to any ethnicity and it happens every day.
For sure.
I feel like if you are a white male, for example, and you are just simply attracted to black men, cool, good for you, right? Like we all have our attractions. Where I find that it's wrong is that you go through that phase, that week or that day where you're like, you know what, I want to try a big black cock. And every black person to you is nothing more than a big black cock.
Right.
Right? To me, that's when it becomes objectifying because it's like at no point is this your attraction? You've associated this one characteristics with the masses, but it doesn't always associate with the rest of us. And you're now objectifying me, hoping to just get off on this fantasy that you have. To me, that's when it becomes wrong. But if you have your attractions, you have your attractions.
Have your attractions, girl.
Wait, so you don't like to be objectified?
I hate it.
Well, damn.
I am more than a piece of meat. I'm more than a piece of steak.
Okay, am I the only one that like... I'm not like super okay with it, but I'm just kind of like, okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. But then what happens then once he hits it and he's like, I got it. Like I've completed my fantasy.
I've achieved my goal.
Yeah.
I've achieved the percentage. I've leveled up.
Right.
Fine.
I don't know.
Fun.
There's some points for me, I guess, that like people like have this expectation of one that I have this like 9-inch thick dick. And
Wait,
like,
you don't?
No, for sure not.
That's
Like,
the only reason why I asked you to be on this podcast.
I know. I'm sorry. It's blatantly average, and I'm super fine with it.
So I'm so sorry.
You guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much.
So what Jay Northcott failed to mention on his job application, because it was a question, was, is your penis at least 10 inches?
And I said yes.
And he said yes.
I just
And
really want to be here.
so unfortunately, his application wasn't filtered through. And for that, guys, audience, I sincerely apologize.
Okay,
I'm the weakest
anyways.
I'm the
So,
weakest. I just had a really good joke. Can I say my one joke before?
Go for it.
I am the weakest dick. Goodbye. Thank
oh
you.
my god.
Sachet away.
Okay, so I think that, like, I don't have a problem being objectified. It's fine. Like, objectify my love. Okay?
I really like getting validated. I get what you mean.
Yeah, but maybe I think where some people may have like an issue with it is like, okay, for example, I'm going to use me being Latino, for example. Like maybe if there, as a white guy that I'm maybe dating or seeing, whatever, sleeping with, and like he just calls me like, hey, papi. Like, if it's like that, like, I'm like, okay, first of all, calm down. Like, you've never used that word before, and like now, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
something
for sure.
like that. I'm just like, okay, let's settle down, but I still don't really have a problem with it. Maybe if it becomes like super offensive, where he's like, hey, papi, do you want to wash my dishes? Then I'm going to be like, you know what? No.
You have any oranges to sell? That kind of shit.
Yeah.
I have, so two of my Asian friends, they, one of them is Chinese, the other one is, I'm not sure. She always asks before she goes, like when she goes on a first date, or she's on Tinder, she asks, how many samurai swords do you have? Cause she's so nervous of dating a white guy that has like a huge fetish for Asian women.
Like a rice queen.
Yeah. So she always asks, hey, so like, just a weird question. Like, yo, like, how many samurai swords do you have? And if the answer is one or more, she's not dating him. And I get it because there's like this weird feeling. But I was like, I guess like it's so weird to say that like race is a fetish, right? It's like, but it's confusing. Anyway, it was just a thought that I had.
But before we went on this tangent,
Yeah, what was the tangent?
I wanted to kind of maybe discuss with you guys what, like, it kind of correlates. Shaming. So shaming, like, if you, like, let's say, yeah, somebody has a fetish or kink for, like, let's say a race. Like, do we shame people for that? Do we shame people for having a fetish? For
I don't think you can shame somebody. I like it goes back to like attractions. It's almost like, to put it even simpler, are you gonna tell somebody that they're wrong because they're like, you know what, I don't eat seafood?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's just it's what sets their taste buds off, right? Like, for example, there was this one boy that I wasn't really into him, but like we used to talk here and there, and then he told me that he was like really into like being peed on and stuff. And hey, kudos to you, like, but it's just not, it doesn't tickle my fancy. So
Water sport.
yeah, and I'm just like, it doesn't tickle my fancy. So like, unfortunately, this is just not going to work because I can't turn you on like that. You know what I mean? And
Right.
we parted ways.
so did you have a discussion about it? So see, like the mature way would be like, okay, well, it's like, okay, first of all, did you try it?
No,
Would you have tried it?
probably not.
No. Okay.
Have you
How do you?
ever, wait, can we stop? Have you ever been peed on?
Yes. Just once.
Yeah.
I mean,
Was it in a shower?
yeah.
Or was it on a bed?
No, it definitely not on a bed.
I got peed on a bed.
How? Who does the cleanup? Who?
He had a
leather bed?
a rubber sheet.
Oh god, so he was an expert.
Yeah.
He did this on the daily.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
I don't. For me, there's like I associate peeing with peeing, and it's just like it.
But you did have like the adult, like even if you ghosted him or had like you had the conversation of being like, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
But like the worst thing, like I think what Jay was talking about is like the shaming of you being like, that's fucking gross.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Like
that's-
how could you ever want to piss on somebody?
That's wrong.
You know?
Unless your fetish is like raping children, then
Yeah.
then hey, kudos to you. Get your life.
Yeah, as long as you make your fetish or your kink consensual, then I'm like so for it. I'm like maybe I'm not the person to be trying it with,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm never like I don't know. I hope that everybody understands that like you know what, we all don't get off to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
None of us get off to the same thing that are even in this room, and that even if whatever your fetish is or even like you know preference in certain ways, it's like we just need to be like instead like we don't need to shame them for it. We just need to be like, you know what, I'm not
Right.
DP double fist you.
Right. So obviously we know that. But
Yeah.
then, you know, when guys are out there on all these dating apps and stuff, like I don't know, like I obviously haven't been on a dating app and I'm in a
Yeah, because she's a married woman.
I know. Look at this ring. But so on the apps, is that a thing? Do you guys find that people get shamed a lot for like we said, like, you know, obviously people will ask, oh, well, what are you into? And like if somebody says, oh, like I'm into water sports, I'm into getting fisted, like do you, on your end, if you're not into that, do you just say like, oh no, sorry, and like, you know, good luck with your search? Or do you say, no, gross, or do you just not say anything?
I think like for me, like whenever somebody asks like what I'm into, I'm like, for the most part, if I'm drinking and on Grindr, I'm into being dominated. Like period, end of story. I'm like two reasons.
Slam me against the wall.
Two reasons. One, too lazy to make a choice, so I don't really want to be the person that has to make all the choices. Second, it's fucking hot sometimes. So I was like, that's what I ask for. And there's a couple of people, especially people that like aren't in the places they want to be dominant. They're like, oh, that's not really what I'm into. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. Have a great evening. You know, like, and like it's really nice. Like somebody's like, oh, like there's a couple people that are like, but what if I like being dominated? And you're like, well, like I just told you what I'm into this evening, and I don't feel like doing that. And they're like, okay. And I think like some like because I think all of us in this room are like not vanilla, but we're like Neapolitan. We're not fully chocolate, but we're like a bit Neapolitan. We don't have like the experience to say like, oh, like I haven't dealt with like large, like big fetishes in the people that I've dated.
Right.
None of my like I used to spit in my ex-boyfriend's mouth. Like that was like a little bit of a fetish that he had.
I had that happen to me not too long ago, and like the idea of it to me sounds disgusting, but it didn't surprise me in the moment, or it did surprise
so
me.
This is what I mean about like trying. How do you know? So for example, how do you know that you don't want to be on somebody?
Because having spit in my mouth, the idea of it didn't like disgust me, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But me peeing on somebody is a little bit disgusting to me.
Okay.
So it's like it has the same effect of me picking up my dog shit. Like I just like I just can't. So like by him spitting in my mouth, it like it surprised me that it didn't like bother me, but it was like it never disgusted me to begin with.
Right.
Onto your question of apps and people being accepting of kinks and fetishes, I think apps like Grindr people are more fortunate enough to express their kinks and stuff because Grindr is more so like an exchange. Do you know what I mean? Like you can be a bottom, like I'm looking for a top, and all you gotta say is I'm not a top. I'm not a top. Let's move on. And it's like, oh, but you're like, no one gets offended. Or I'm looking to play with feet. Oh, I'm not into feet. Then they're either just gonna block you or be like, okay, move on. But like, I feel like where the line is drawn is like when you don't disclose that stuff so quickly, because then there's an investment kind of going in. So like if you're dating someone, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, by the way, I want to get peed on. Then he's going to be like, I find that disgusting. Then you're going to get offended. Then he's going to be fucking confused on why you're offended. And now there's a huge blow up, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like the same thing that we were talking about even like last week about like HIV is there's just something there's something about being like upfront about all of the things that like that are part of you in certain ways that like that do, especially in like a one night stand, really change the way if you can only have sex this one way and you're not going to disclose that before having sex with that person and then you have sex with them, then that's kind of like a little bit rapey, you know? It's like there's like a lack of consent in that, right? And we talked a lot about that at the beginning, is that consent is a huge thing in the kink and fetish community, and that we really need to hopefully continue to do that.
Like, how would you feel if you went to have sex with someone, you just laid down in the bed and like you closed your eyes for 2 seconds, and before you know it, you were like fucking handcuffed to the bed and had no sense of control?
No.
Yeah, and
absolutely
no, right? Like there's something about like I have friends that like set that scene that they like come home and they've talked about it. Their boyfriend has got the keys to the house, broke into the house, and then like chained them to the bed. You know, like that.
So that's different. But like if it just happened, like without you knowing, without a conversation being had before, like that's scary.
That's what I'm talking about. Like you imagine just being in the shower and all of a sudden your man's like, pee on me. It's almost like that spontaneity and putting someone under a telescope and in the spotlight like can really set someone off or make them really uncomfortable. I don't know, mind you, just so everyone knows, we're sitting in like the dark. Yeah. So like all that keeps coming to my mind right now is like, you guys watch Rent?
Yeah.
So Rent's my favorite movie. There you go.
Oh, you like my candle. Okay, we're really off topic.
Okay, this is. I think we're coming to the end of this conversation. Yeah. But the one thing that
shit, none of this was recorded.
You're joking.
I'm kidding. Keep going.
You almost gave me a fucking heart attack. Is that your fucking fetish?
I knew it. I knew you were that girl.
Mind you, I'm the kind of girl that would make you record a second episode and then just drop two at once.
I just died. Okay, so we are coming to the end of the episode. This is what I want to say. The one thing that I think I really learned from having this conversation and kind of like the research and stuff that I did today is the most beautiful thing that I found from the kink community and from the fetish community is the amount of care, the level of care that is taken in a lot of these places. So if you go like on FetLife or any of these other kind of places, the level of care that is put into some of these forums and all these things is actually a beautiful thing. And that like the one thing about having a kink, and especially like larger kinks that like are a bit more like looked down on in ways, it's like there's a level of vulnerability that you have to put yourself in that I think those people, for me anyway, like have a connection to themselves and an honesty to themselves that I'm not fucking ready for yet. And I just like thank all those kinksters out in this world that are just having fun, fucking fisting, peeing, putting things inside urethras, shocking, nipple play, biting, sounding, fucking cake farting, balloon popping, all you bitches. Ooh. I love you all.
I will say that I'm excited to see what's going to come from future generations, because I also feel like
oh my God,
young generation right now is so sexually liberated.
True.
Where it's just like wait until they start like being so open with their kinks. It's going to be like these guys are going to start going to like the grocery store and like leather, and
we're going to have a reality TV show called like Kink Wars or something.
Right.
It's going to be great.
RuPaul's Kink Race. Jesus.
Well, since we're coming to the end of this, I just want to say that, like, if y'all out there listening, if you have a kink, a fetish that you want to try, just give it a go. Or even if it's something that you have never thought that, like, you were into, you never know until you try.
Amen.
Amen. I had a three. Did I tell you guys that I had a three-way?
Yeah, please tell us how it was.
Oh my God, this guy's dick was so big, but do you want to hear the best thing about it?
Okay.
It's not the best. Actually, I'm just very proud of myself. You guys, I'm changing as a person. Guess what I did?
You douched.
I topped.
What?
Ooh.
Oh, I was gonna say, were you spit roasted? But
No, I topped 2 men at the same time.
wait,
All by myself.
how do you do that?
Well, not at the same time, but like,
Like
bam, 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 and then over here.
Oh,
Bam, 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 bam. I don't know who I am anymore. I'm really learning. Thank you.
Wait, was it like a bottom and then a verse that you guys are with?
A top, and I don't know what the other guy was,
Uh-huh.
but he was like, I was drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I have not prepared. His dick was literally the size of like this bigger than this microphone, like thickness, and I was like, there's no way I need to, like a fucking beer, like just ridiculous. And I was like, there's no way I'm risking just like hanging out and putting the stick inside me.
Was it cute?
Yeah, he's cute.
no, that
Ethnicity?
popping experience.
He's Polish, weirdly enough, but he looks more ethnic than Polish. It's like, and I always have a thing for guys who look like white dudes that kind of look ethnic. I told you that's kind of like my fetish. Is like white men that kind of look ethnic. And it was great, and I'm really proud of myself. So everybody that's listening to this podcast, I'm gonna let you guys know that I am Jay Northcott, also known as Top Daddy.
She's a top.
Yes.
Oh.
Wait a second. So you didn't even bottom at all?
At all.
Because you weren't ready.
So I was not
That's
prepared for that either.
unfortunate. Okay. And then J-Ho, tell us quickly about your vacation.
Oh my god, it was so good. So I went back to my hometown of Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Ew.
Also known as like the Texas of Canada.
Yeah.
It was nasty, just because I hate going back there. But it was so beautiful because I went to go see the mountains and lakes and all that other shit. And, you know, took some cute pictures.
Did you climb Haling?
Did I what?
Climb Haling Point.
No, what the fuck is that?
It's like the whitest girl climb. It's like
No, I did like pretty hard hikes. I did 7-hour hikes a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just talking about hiking on that dick. I know.
Did your boo go with you?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Oh,
Okay.
did you meet the family?
He met my sister.
Oh my god.
I know.
It's gonna
Cute.
turn into marriage soon.
And my week was nothing. My dog had diarrhea, and then I had to deal with that. So on that note, y'all, have a good week. Stay amazing. Like, practice your kinks and
Practice your kinks.
enjoy it. Because you know what? If you're not going to enjoy it, who the fuck is going to enjoy it, right?
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen up in here.
Hallelujah.
It's still so original. Still so fucking original.
We need to come up with a different.
We really do. We're gonna figure it out.
Or maybe we'll have Jamall sing
Sing hallelujah.
at the end of every episode.
It's really good.
Hallelujah.
End scene.